Toes.
Ew.
Shall I introduce
yes.
things?
Yeah, why don't you go
Sure.
ahead? I'm so ready. Oh my gosh,
excuse
this
me.
better be perfect.
Welcome to the Movie Overload podcast, where we will be discussing 100 essential films from a trip to the moon, frick, to Parasite,
No, you're on it.
and everything in between, including the ever essential film. I'm just gonna say it, Tokyo Story, but also fuck Woody Allen.
Fuck Woody
I
Allen.
mean, except Woody
Hell
Allen.
yeah.
I did not.
Whoa. You mean Woody Allen, the director of Tokyo Story?
Got excited. Okay.
Just saying. I'm sorry. I'm
You
sorry
know
I
what?
said that.
I almost got out of my
I
chair.
know.
and
I knew that was
decked
gonna
you.
make you mad. I know. I'm sorry.
Because you know
I
what?
won't do that anymore.
That explains Tokyo Story.
No,
Have
it
you-
doesn't.
Have you seen any? Have you seen any Woody Allen movies?
You
Hannah?
guys would
I
probably
don't know.
like.
Probably
Okay,
not.
I don't mean to be mean back to you guys after
It's
you were
okay.
mean to
we
me.
can be mean to each other.
But like, based off of your opinions on Tokyo Story, you probably would like Woody Allen.
Oh,
So-
rude.
And honestly, I'm not even gonna take it back because I'm probably right. Like, you guys would watch Annie Hall and be like, "This is good shit."
oh shit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's my issue: is
well,
that I
it
don't.
does have a 4.0 in Letterboxd, so apparently a lot of people like it.
Tokyo Story.
No, that has like a 4.2.
Oh, are you talking about Annie Hall?
Annie Hall has a 4.0.
Tokyo
Yeah.
Story has like a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You know, and
This is true.
actually, Sight and Sound named it as the best film ever made, based off of a poll of international directors.
It's true.
Oh my.
Yeah, and then it also tends to get like third after Citizen Kane and Vertigo
Okay.
as best film, like here in the States. So, what I'm saying is, I don't know that I have a crazy opinion that this movie is very good,
Absolutely not. I
But-
agree with you that this movie is very good.
but I'm very
Baha.
excited to talk about the opinions because that's the point of this podcast, is that we are forcing ourselves to watch films that we may or may not like, and then like
Indeed.
some of them, I mean, all of them are good, but then sometimes
Are they?
we're like, fuck
Gone
this.
with the Wind.
See, but then
I-
again, was it a movie that I had to defend as technically being good?
That's true. It has
because it is.
It has good elements to it. I wouldn't say that some of the more important elements are good, but some of them are. It's got
But-
good
Some of them are
costumes.
incredible.
It's got good cinematography.
The cinnamon in that film, perfection.
Wait a second.
Anyway,
I need to backtrack for a hot second.
sure.
Oh, hell
Because, like, I looked up Woody Allen and his movies. I have not seen any of them, but, like, Emma Stone has acted in one of them. Timothy
Timothy.
Chalamet.
Is in the
I
new
didn't know
one,
that
yeah.
he directed Rainy
See,
Day in New York.
That's the thing that's kind of sad, is like, for some reason, all of these people still work with Woody Allen.
Yeah, people.
And then it
constantly
makes you have
defend
to
him.
be like, why does this person also not have a conscience?
Right, because, like, I looked up when the thing happened with the child, and that was in 1992.
Exactly.
It's been a while.
Like,
That's-
that's what I'm saying.
Like, and I know that was, like, 30 years ago almost. But, like,
it's not
like-
like there was
I wouldn't
anything
be
that
like,
happened.
Like sometimes
Hi.
this stuff happens and people actually like get blacklisted.
yeah.
Like Kevin Spacey is still like
Yeah.
not existent.
So how did he
as far as
not
I'm
get
aware.
blacklisted?
Well, because it doesn't tend to happen to directors. It doesn't seem like
Yeah, that's fair.
like we got
Like,
Roman
I-
Polanski too, who's
Yeah,
notably also not on the list. It just felt lengthy to say fuck Woody Allen and Roman Polanski.
Yeah. Probably others. Who
But like,
knows?
yeah, there's some real shitty people that are like, I mean, Roman Polanski's not allowed back in the like he couldn't come back to this country because he would be in the slammer, and so he just directs movies from other countries,
yeah.
and like it's all gross. It's all
And then
yuck.
people are like, wow, movie.
It's a lot of actors that are
Anyway.
blacklisted. I just looked up
Mm-hmm.
blacklisted celebrities. Katherine Heigl, which I knew. Brendan Fraser. Mel
Oh.
Gibson.
I don't think Brendan Fraser's like a bad person.
Mel
though.
Gibson
That's what I thought.
blacklisted, and
Mel Gibson is
guess
kind of
who's
a bad
still
person.
directing movies?
Yeah, he's still doing fine.
Ah.
Like,
Ashley
he's not
Judd.
acting.
CeeLo Green. Kirk Cameron. Vince Vaughn. Why is Vince Vaughn?
That's where
Vaughn's still,
Cameron's
Vince Vaughn's
still-
still doing work.
Both
pretty
of them are still
consistently.
doing stuff.
Vince Vaughn was in, what was that movie, Freaky?
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
know. I heard maybe that was okay.
Mitchell Hug was
kinda wanted
also
to
in
see
It
that
just
one.
doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite, but enough people were like, this is kind of good, actually, that I would give it a shot.
Gotcha.
It looks bloody.
Yeah, it looks great. Do you know what it's about?
Yes,
It's
like
so
Freaky
fun.
Friday,
It
but it's
sounds
just
funny.
the freaky part.
Yeah. Sounds funny. Anyway,
I'm dying.
this movie's about Tokyo. This podcast is about Tokyo
This
Story.
podcast
Not
is
Vince
the thing,
Vaughn.
and
Let's-
we do
Or Woody
stuff.
Allen.
Wait.
We talk about Woody Allen too
Wait.
much. What?
You're right.
My name is Hananana.
Oh yeah, I'm Hunter.
I am your sweet Chuck Norris.
Sweet.
My sweet Chuck Norris.
Norris good.
Anyway, Tokyo
Thanks.
Story. What the frick is that?
Let
Should
me-
I
let-
watch it?
It's good. Yes.
Should
Yes.
I maybe
Watch
see
it when you're in a good mood,
Yes.
maybe.
I
told
was
you.
in a good
I did
mood.
tell her.
And I
told her.
wasn't
I was like,
sleepy.
yeah, I tried
was
to
just like-
set up.
What time of day did
but,
you
you
watch
know-
it?
I watched it this morning. It made me sleepy.
It made me sleepy too. I watched at 11. I was more awake before and after watching the movie.
I was so tired last night. I
But
knew I
it
would
just-
not make it through.
It was hard. I've been telling you lately too. I'm in a weird funk. Okay,
You haven't
I know.
enjoyed a movie
I
we've watched
haven't-
in a while.
I haven't like really been enjoying much of anything. Kind of.
Are
Some
you
things
sad?
some things I am, but also in some things I'm like, wow, I really like. I don't know. I'm just like I don't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's like kind of okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I may not be in the best state, but like I feel, especially after reading about it more and seeing more details, which we will get into, I feel like I appreciate the movie a little bit more, at least, even if it wasn't like, wow, I loved this movie,
Mhm.
because it kind of, I'm sad that it didn't work for me very much.
That's what I
Oh,
said almost
yeah.
exactly. I was like, I appreciated it,
Yeah,
and I wanted
exactly.
to like
It's
it,
like,
but I
I
just
get
kind of
it.
didn't.
I feel like I see it, and I see what it's going for, and it's really good and cool, and I like that, and I liked seeing everybody's take on it and yours, and like it's so good.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yes, you're right.
Yes.
I failed.
Well,
You
no.
didn't fail.
Did.
Here's
I
what I
didn't
want
like
to
it
say on a
either.
serious note. Now that I've mocked you guys
Yes,
a little
yes,
bit,
yes,
I
yes,
want
yes,
to say
Yeah.
I am proud of you guys for stretching yourselves today.
Thank you.
Oh,
For putting yourself through something that
for putting my
you
head
didn't end
on
up
the chopping
enjoying.
block.
For putting your head on the chopping block. Because because of this podcast, and you know what, I'm gonna say it because of me, because I know
Sure.
that you guys love me so much.
I mean,
You don't have to say it, I know it.
Sure.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
I will take this opportunity to not say that.
And I want to say to both of you right now, I do.
What? Anyway,
I proposed to me
Oh, I
from
see.
you
Okay,
guys,
okay,
and then
okay.
accepted.
interesting.
That was the bit.
Very.
Anyway, what I'm saying is,
interesting, yes.
it's fine. The point is, we're not always going to like all the things, and I appreciate that you guys still made an attempt and are now also going to record for approximately another hour
Yeah.
about, the positives.
Yeah, I'm
And
definitely
the
still
negatives.
gonna. I'm very much still on the side of like this movie is great and you should see it because I do think that and I believe that. I just I had a regrettably, like
I just
More
wish it was
expensive.
shorter.
yeah.
If it was like an
I
hour and a half.
still feel like maybe the argument could be made that it could be shorter,
It
but
was,
people
like,
will
so
yell at me for that.
long.
So let's just
I-
talk about it because
I
everyone
really
that
don't
talks
feel
about
like there's anything I
yeah,
want to cut out
yeah,
of that
everyone
movie.
that talks about it is like he earns every second, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's kinda
Ma'am.
true.
There's some parts that
Sir?
are very repetitive and
Yes.
like what?
I'm sorry.
I just-
I'm sorry.
immediately
We're
started saying
overpowering.
thing.
No, it's fine. It's just that I literally don't understand. But that's okay.
I have one
That's the
part
beauty of
that
it.
stood
That's
out
the
to
fun
me
thing.
in that way in particular that I could reference if you would.
Okay. Yes. But
Yes.
I am biased, and I want
right.
to call that out now.
Yes.
I've spent the better part of this year, or the better part of the last year, of the previous year, watching a lot of classic Japanese cinema.
It's true.
So I'm already like,
You do
it's
have
not
kind of a
just
leg
dipping
up.
my toe in real quick. I've been here in like post-war Japan for quite a while now, and I'm comfortable with it, and I'm in it.
Yeah, you had
And
that perspective.
the like some of the cultural aspects of things that would be like if this were an American movie, somebody would be yelling about it, or if these were modern day American families, somebody would be yelling about it
Yeet.
or having a conversation about it. Does not strike me as something that needs to happen here, but also I'm biased because I always like the movies that everybody's like, but it's boring. Those are my movies.
I don't know.
So
I
it,
feel like
anyway.
I maybe like a handful of those, but I probably haven't seen enough of them actually. Actually, no, that's not true. I take that back because you've seen more that are in that camp than I have.
You like 2049,
Like Drummer stuff, so yeah, but that's actually.
but it feels like there's a
feels
lot
like
going on.
That feels
still.
like a cheat answer, so I'm not
It
going to do
is.
that. I recant. I take that back.
It is.
Yes, you have good experience and background and knowledge of things before, whereas me, I don't even know what a Japan is.
Yeah.
No,
What
that's-
is it?
I don't know. It's some weird place over there. I don't know. No, it's a cool place. It's great.
You're a
I
cool
know.
place.
I don't really just know anything very substantial about it. So I learned things because of this movie now.
That's cool. Okay. I'm excited. Here, give me. Okay. I don't mean to direct this because this is your episode. But what you should do is you should give me your repetitive what should be cut thing that you were saying,
Okay.
and then go into
so,
your abstract.
So I only had one scene, and this may not even. I may not even feel this way again if I were to rewatch it. But just in the scene where Dad comes to Shige's house drunk, and she's like preparing the beds or something, and it's just like a long shot. Okay, this is antithetical to the point of the movie, and I actually remember now that being bored is the point of parts of the movie, based on what people said in the internet. But I'm also like, she's just kind of doing stuff and going through motions and being just like, wow, drunk. He sure has been drinking. Drinkity doo. He's so drunk. And I'm just like,
that's how that read to you.
yes,
Drunkity,
that
drunk.
is exactly how that read to me.
Alcohol. Wait,
That's so
I
incredible.
just thought of the Harry Potter song. where he's
Just like the last bit of it. Not like most of it leading up to that was fine, but just there's the last bit was like, wow.
Or she
Sorry,
was just
Hannah.
yeah. Sorry,
no,
go
I'm
ahead.
just adding mindless
Do
chat.
it. No, I want you
Do
to.
it.
Sorry.
Haven't you heard
I
that
overheard it.
that little Harry Potter song that's like Snape, Severus,
Uh-huh.
Snape, Dumbledore? I was just you said that all those fun
Drunkity,
words, and I was like drunkity, drunk, alcohol, and that's
That's
what
great.
she did.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the Potter Puppet Pals
You're
reference in our Tokyo Story
welcome.
episode.
Anyway,
I love this podcast.
Tie that in.
that was a thought that I had while watching the movie. It's a bad thought, and I don't
No,
think that it actually
no.
means anything.
You need to
There's
stop
no,
judging
don't
your
have
thoughts.
a bad
It's too
thought.
late.
I'm the
I don't
point
think
of
bad
this.
thoughts exist
Yeah. Okay.
unless you're a creep.
There's a new podcast rule. Okay, guys.
Oh,
No one is allowed to like shit on their own thoughts. That's for somebody else on the podcast
Amen.
to do. If it's required, somebody else will shit on your thought.
Shut up. That
But you can't shit
idea
on
is
your own
dumb.
thought.
but now I know things. I have
No.
information that overrides my reactions to the movie.
But that's fine. That's
you're
okay.
entitled to
You
your
still
own
have your own
opinions.
reactions.
Yes, I mean, I shared it with you. It's
like
fine. I told
it's
you.
good. Thank you for telling me. And then I can also express my shitty thought about how I felt about that scene. Because for me, it was one of the more memorable bits because it felt very real. And I was like, not only is it just kind of satisfying to see her create these beds, and I'm just thinking about like what it would be like to be in her position and have this sort of thing happen. But it's really interesting to sit there while she's ranting about the thing that he's doing while also being completely oblivious to the reason why this is happening, which is kind of her. Which is to say, the reason why he's going out and
Yeah.
drinking is because he doesn't want to be a bother to her. He doesn't want to, be up in her space when she doesn't really want him there. So he was like, I'll go out drinking. Maybe I'll stay the night over at some of these people's houses. And then they end up back at this house. And it's like, it's all out of this like weird attempt of like, sure, he's hurt. And so he goes back to like what is safe and warm and comfortable and whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's also going out to do it out of a degree of care for her. And that doesn't get read at all and she never thinks about that. It's never it's just antithetical to the way that she thinks, and you can just understand that very clearly based off of the way she is the entire movie.
Yeah.
Very selfishly thinking about herself and looking at her parents visiting as just kind of a thing I have to do, thing I have to get through, whatever. Oh, we'll send them off. It'll be fine. They'll go to Atami, I think is the place. And there's zero thought about like, why are they here? What do they want? What is the point of this? It's just entirely gone.
Yeah.
The culture is entirely changed,
I'm
and they're
so
left out of it.
inconvenienced.
And it feels like, for me, all of that kind of comes together in that moment,
Makes
because the moments in which there's not a lot of interesting dialogue happening end up kind of becoming spaces where your ability to kind of think about what's actually going on in this family dynamic, that's where that kind of slides in for me, because it's like, they're not even thinking about what's going on. But me having this like outside perspective, I'm able to see it. And
Makes
that
sense.
makes me think about my own family, etc. So I like that bit.
I get that.
But it's
Very
fine.
nice, very nice.
That was a nice summary.
I appreciate it.
I will watch this movie again one day when hopefully I am not in a very subtly weird bad mood and have more than a shred of empathy in my body, because I could tell I was not in the right spot.
You're
to
like,
get
fuck
all
these
that.
people.
Like,
I
I could,
don't even
It makes
care.
sense. And I was just like,
I can totally.
it sucked,
yeah.
but yeah, I was.
I would
like,
feel
could
that
just
way
tell,
in that
like,
mood. Totally.
I was just, I
Uh-huh.
was just watching it, and like, I'm not happy about it.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Sometimes lately I have been in a weird mood,
Mhm.
and I think I unfortunately was in it when I was watching the movie, because I was like, I'm just
Okay.
gonna do it now
Mhm.
and not later, because I just want to get it out of the way. And I was just like, these people are annoying. Anyway, that's not
great.
That's
No,
my.
If
that
I had
is
been in that
a
mood, I
bad
would feel
take.
the same way,
Yeah.
and the three
Yeah.
of us would all be
Anyway.
shitting on this podcast.
But I am
because we were
trying
all in
to-
that mood when we watched The Wizard of Oz.
Sure.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm
That
trying-
movie puts me in that mood.
I'm gonna try to atone for my sins, and we can go to the top.
Yeah, let's go.
Tokyo
um,
Stories, a movie from
let's chat about it.
1953. It was directed and co-written by Yasujiro Ozu.
And Kogo Noda.
He was the other co-writer. Yes, that was what I was going to say
Oh,
next.
sorry.
Yes! It was
Yay.
apparently loosely based on an American 1937 film called Make Way for Tomorrow, which has similar basic themes.
And is directed by a director we've covered on this podcast.
I saw his name, but I didn't know who he was.
Directed Duck Soup.
What?
Yeah.
Duck
McCary.
Soup.
Who care? Who McCares?
Who cares?
Who McCarries?
I'm rolling. Raffle.
Ruffle.
Nice.
Thanks.
Anyway,
Good.
but yeah, that's I don't know. I'll talk more about that later because I wrote more notes about it because people talked about it more. But it has very similar things. Apparently, it's also good. It has a also rather high Letterboxd rating, which kind of surprised me. I was like, wow, maybe the American movie like sucked, and then they made the good Japanese movie. But that's not the case. They both seem to be good in their own right.
It was like this close to being on the list. It's just
Nice.
that I already had Duck Soup.
Interesting.
Duck Soup.
It had a hard time getting out of Japan.
Mm.
Did you have something to add, Hannah?
Oh, no.
Okay. you just. When you.
I just get excited
Okay.
and sometimes generally want to repeat words that have just been said in a
Okay.
weirder way.
Do it.
I think maybe something's wrong with me.
Go with it
Oh,
all
no.
the time.
I love Duck Soup. With an SH.
Whoa.
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Yeah. I don't know. Apparently people whose job it was to get movies out of Japan saw Tokyo Story and were like, too much Japan. And then they didn't
Racist.
export it. Like it didn't come to America for like 20 years. To like, what was it? Yeah. It was screened in the US for the first time in like 72.
Damn.
So,
What the heck?
yeah. And then
That's
people were
how
like,
it is.
this movie's fucking good. Why did you keep this from me?
What the fuck?
It is very like, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a Japanese movie. It's very
Yeah, for sure.
Japanese.
This is very stylistically different from Western stuff.
It's very of its time, and it also kind of heavily relies on understanding at least some aspects of like Japanese just culture.
Yeah, for sure. And like that is one of the things that differentiated it from Make Way for Tomorrow that I saw noted being like, Make Way for Tomorrow is like Depression era America, I guess.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's more kind of relying not just on the family dynamics and stuff, which is kind of there, but it's like, it's an understood economical situation
Mm.
that people in America would be like, yeah, that time was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
That sucked. Whereas in Tokyo Story, it is very Japanese in its time and place. And yeah, the changing culture, which was not apparent to me because obviously it's not going to come out and explain that to you.
Mm.
And me, as someone who didn't know a lot of context about that period before watching it and during watching it, kind of went over my head. And then now having seen
Oh.
that, now I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of
Why Some of
sense.
it is weird.
Okay, yeah,
like,
because
there's-
the whole time I was like,
yeah,
because I did that whole Kurosawa binge, I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I've seen movies that were made in like about this era, in this era, multiple times, and so it like kind of synthesized bits from all of those other movies about times changing.
Yeah.
Specifically, One Wonderful Sunday is what this movie
Mm.
rings very
Ooh.
strongly of, which I've seen a few times now,
Hmm.
and I was like, yeah, so we're talking about this shit.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
That
And,
movie is
like,
definitely a better introduction to this era
Mm.
in history, though. Like,
yeah. Like
it's
it
really
feels
good.
apparent now that I know about it, I guess. I can
Mhm.
look back on Tokyo Story and be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But just at the time, I just, there's not really a lot of indication.
right.
I mean, like, obviously they allude to the war and stuff, and like that is having an impact, but I didn't realize how much of an impact. Anyway, from
Mhm.
what I gathered, Hannah, I don't know if you had heard or know about this either. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm gonna say it, but I just
Yay.
gathered the basic bits of it being like post World War I Japan being like, or World
Two.
War II. The fuck time did this movie come
The
out?
fuck?
I was thinking about probably the 30s because of Make Way for Tomorrow's dates, which came out in the 30s.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Whatever war it was,
That
there
one.
was only one world war. They just took a break in the middle.
The sequel
Just kidding.
was just part 2 of
So
the
things
same war.
happened.
Wait.
There was a kind of big war, and Japan was in it. And anyway, it was over, and I don't even know all the details, so I probably shouldn't talk about it. But apparently, there was just a kind of cultural movement away from things that were traditionally Japanese cultural values.
Very
and
massive.
more like
Mhm.
westernized, capitalistic values being introduced, which is perhaps why the children, adult children, people in this movie are like, I'm gotta work so much and not see my family very much, and it's sad.
That makes me
Which is
sad.
weird and new at the time, I guess.
They're
It
workaholics.
was. So I've got a decent amount of information on that just because of my Kurosawa binge. Which, by the way, after watching this, I do have to say, I think getting into Ozu is best served by first having gotten into Kurosawa. Because while the two of them are like probably the two most like well-known classic Japanese directors, arguably, like Mizoguchi's in there and stuff, but people know Ozu and Kurosawa. Kurosawa is often labeled as the most Western of Japanese directors, and
Yeah.
Ozu is considered the most Japanese of Japanese directors.
Makes sense.
And so you kind of have to get via like, classic cinema, like Golden Age Hollywood, filmmaking technique.
Mhm.
You are like brought into Japanese culture through Kurosawa, and then through Ozu you can be led through your understanding of Japanese culture to an extent in this era through to like a more like classic Japanese style of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But what I will say, what I've learned from the like 12 Kurosawa films that deal with specifically this, basically post-war Japan, America occupies it and is intentionally pushing Westernization. Like there's an extent to which the younger, culture, the younger generations are wanting to move in that direction, but also like specifically individualism as opposed to collectivism is being pushed aggressively by the American government on Japan, to the extent that the movies that were made in that era were censored to the point of like, hey, you have to push individualism, you have to push this, you have to push that. And all of these narratives are coming out through these films.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting because Kurosawa would be using Western filmmaking to like smuggle in his ideas that guess what, this American occupation is fucked and the way that culture is changing is kind of bullshit and this
Yeah.
is not a better direction for Japan to go. But smuggling it in this way, it's like, oh, look at this fancy noir film with like
Yeah.
dramatic, whatever. And then Ozu is just kind of sitting in the background being like, this is what's happening.
Mhm.
And you just kind of have to sit in it. And those are two very different
Yeah.
ways of critiquing it. But, sorry, one more bit. The censorship portion, I think the occupation in general ended in 1951 or 52.
Okay.
So 53 would be like potentially the first year that you'd be able to make a movie without being aggressively censored by America,
Mhm.
which
Makes
like
sense.
involved like submitting your script in English and then writing things on it and like being like, does it really have to be this Japanese? Anyway, it was a really shitty thing.
We
that
love
America did.
cultural
Country
appropriation.
sucks.
Yeah. And that's why it's also interesting because you see these younger generations and you even see like the dad and whatever wearing like kind of Western suits
Yeah.
when going to Tokyo. And you're kind of seeing this like, for me, the clothes was like a very big way of seeing like kind of when he's specifically criticizing
Yeah.
Western culture being brought into Japan. Anyway.
Makes sense.
It
It's
makes me
cool.
sad,
Dude,
though.
With historical
Yes.
context, it definitely makes this movie more interesting.
Yeah, no, that definitely does add a lot to it. And I will carry that when I do inevitably rewatch this movie.
Hell yeah.
I feel like. No, wait, never mind. I forget.
That's kind
Good
of
job.
how I feel in general.
Okay.
I learned about cultural appropriation
Mm-hmm.
in this class I was forced to take
Oh.
Yeah,
at my university.
Oh.
And it happens a lot.
it does.
It kind of makes me feel like we really don't know the full culture. Like
Yes.
we do historically, I guess, but no one can like go experience it
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. And that's so sad.
hard.
Yeah, because Westernization is like spread across like everything, and
Yeah.
there's there's just so much America
Just gone.
in everywhere else all the time,
Unfortunately.
and so
Which
it's
is, like-
depressing.
I don't know. Makes sense that like there would be kind of a dominant type of culture, I guess. Or
Because
that
people suck.
cultures would like follow after other cultures of like what's working or
Yeah.
marketing wise or whatever, but it is
Sometimes
sad.
They do it on their own.
Because I want to go
Mhm.
to a country, Japan would probably still be this way, but be like completely lost.
Right.
Like,
And
I don't know
Still
how
very
anything
different,
works.
For sure.
there's an extent to which, at least from what I've heard, going to Japan is about as far away from going to America as possible. But even
Yeah.
still, you speak English in Japan, at least from like what I've heard from, a lot of people who travel to Japan, and people are like, "Oh, can I practice my English with you?" It's you can't like fully just escape.
There's the kid in Tokyo Story, isn't he? He's doing something with English.
Yeah,
isn't
no, he is. Yeah, you hear him in the background, and he's like practicing.
Yeah,
English
you're
words.
right.
He's studying even then, which I guess makes even more sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I think, I don't know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, partially because they're kind of forced to, and partially because their country, because of World War II and all this other socioeconomic stuff, has kind of hit a crash, and
Mm.
change is being aggressively adopted for the sake of like, I want to eat.
Yeah.
And,
Food.
it did lead to some amount of an economic boom, like for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I appreciate the directors being like, but what are we losing?
Mhm.
Think about it.
And it's nice to have some of that captured in film as
I
that's
agree.
happening as well.
See, you just had this whole other perspective on it. I was just like, here we go, movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
Dur-dur-dur-dur.
Because you don't think about the fact that like you have other information that people don't have when it's just information that you have. I guess. So
Right.
I didn't even think about that. But
You just know it already.
man, if I'd watched this before watching all of Kurosawa's movies, or at least his early ones, I would have no clue. I died.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
You died?
Hmm
Are you okay?
No.
My sweet, sweet, sweet Chuck Norris.
Sweet Chuck. I was gonna just stop at Sweet Chuck because that's
Oh, Chuck.
a classic
So I'm gonna make fan art.
Robin Hood, Howard Pyle type thing.
Chuck.
I don't know. Did you guys ever have to read The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood?
I love that book.
It's good.
It's a little violent
It is.
for a 12-year-old.
It's so
I don't
good.
remember how old I was.
I love it. I wrote a report on it and I have a fancy copy. But anyway,
Ooh.
the great thing is Robin Hood and Little John are always calling each other Sweet Chuck.
Oh, I
It's like-
forgot about that.
It's like their version of bro. But it's
Nice.
What's up,
Sweet
homie?
Chuck.
Sweet Chuck.
Nice.
But Sweet Chuck Norris is like the meme version of
That's a
that.
joke.
I'm your sweet Chuck Norris.
Sweet Chuck Norris.
But yeah, okay. So I think in retrospect, if I were to change this list, the only thing that I would do is, since Tokyo Story kind of needs some context before it, perhaps, to be able to get a lot out of it, would be to somehow stick One Wonderful Sunday in there beforehand. But also, we need Seven Samurai, and that came out a year afterwards. I just feel like it's important.
I mean, I don't feel like it's the list's job to educate us on Japanese history.
it's not the
if
list job to
anything-
educate you on Japanese history, but it's the list job to educate you on film. And if you're not,
Yeah, well,
given what
I
you
still
need
got
to-
that.
yeah, I don't know.
Here's
maybe that's
what I
fine.
will say. This is the one, if any movie I should have researched before I watched it, it was this one.
Mm.
And I did not.
That's fair.
Valid.
So maybe
Yeah.
I will do that in the future.
Because it's also important to note that this is the third movie in a trilogy,
Right.
which is
true.
That's
also kind of
I did
important.
not
Kind
know
of
that
important.
before I saw your
It's
review.
it's a thematic trilogy.
Fair.
Like Noriko is the main character in all three, played by Setsuko Hara, who's amazing.
amazing.
She's so cool.
I love these
Um,
actors. I did appreciate the acting.
I love her. She's in also a lot of Kurosawa films early on. Actually, I recognized a decent amount of, I think a majority of the actors in this I'd seen in other movies. But the Noriko trilogy is just kind of, it's got thematic ties, but it doesn't have plot ties.
Yeah.
Like actors who play the sister and blah, blah, are also play different characters in those early movies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly following the same Noriko, but she's kind of the same character. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting.
It's a thing.
It's cool.
Indeed,
I
indeed.
forgot Seven Samurai was the next.
Apparently he
Hell
does
yeah.
tend to work with the same people, it seems.
Hmm.
Just in general.
But
Even
since
though
they're also
Kuroda
the
did a
same
lot.
people that Kurosawa worked with, I wonder if they're just if
Wha-
I just wonder if there was not as large a pool. I mean, obviously there probably wasn't as large a pool of actors as there are today,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was also just more of a thing to reuse the same actors a lot back then.
Yeah,
It's chill.
I do not know.
Anyway, Setsuko Hara is really cool. She plays a really cool character in The Idiot, which is Kurosawa's adaptation of Dostoevsky's novel. And it's crazy and awesome and was going to be 4 hours long until they cut it down to 2 hours and 40 minutes, which killed the movie.
Ooh.
Idiot.
And there's no way to see the original cut
No.
of that movie. But I'm telling you now, if that cut was there, Seven Samurai would not be considered Kurosawa's masterpiece. Neither would Rashomon. Neither would it would just be The Idiot. That movie has the spark of being the best thing that's ever existed ever, and then it gets destroyed in the edit. It's so sad. Sorry. Anyway, she plays a really
Sad.
interesting character in that movie.
Dumb.
But how do we know that the long version is the best if no one's seen it?
Well,
Guesses.
it's mostly a guess. But also, if you watch the movie, it's just raw and beautiful and really interesting and very well acted and dramatic and cool. And there's just bits that are missing. It just feels like
Yeah.
parts of the story are not there.
I'll watch it. But
It's cool.
if you are what you watch, I don't want to be
You don't
an
wanna
idiot.
You can be a 7 samurai instead,
Oh, good.
which
Just want
is
to be
long.
a rear window.
Oh man, it's a long movie,
Maybe
but it's really fun.
it is good. It's fun. You can watch it in 2 parts, maybe.
Hmm.
'Cause
That's a good idea. That's not bad.
There's like an intermission, isn't there?
The other is, and it
So-
actually splits up the movie, not straight in half, but
Yeah.
it does split it up into parts.
Yep.
So
I'll
it's
do
good.
that with snacks.
There you go.
Actually, I'll just do
Mhm.
one part one night. and
It's
the next
more
part the next
exciting.
night.
It's actually, it's like, it's a more conventional, like you said, it's sort of Western feeling movie because it's got fun samurai action and jokes and cool things in
Jokes.
it. It's a good time.
Mhm.
I liked it.
I love jokes.
And it's interesting because like it's easier to appreciate from our perspectives a Kurosawa movie than an Ozu movie.
Mhm.
And even though I
'Cause,
really
like-
love Tokyo Story, I do probably prefer Kurosawa.
Yeah, and like Kurosawa had more direct influence on movies that we've seen and internalized
That's true.
in Western culture.
Like-
Like because Kurosawa became Star Wars, Ozu didn't really become anything until
Yeah,
sort
like
of recently.
he's definitely like
Mm.
influenced like Mike Leigh and like
Sure.
more,
It's not as out there.
out. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like
Or not
New
as, like-
Hollywood, which is our perception of Hollywood, which is what people in our generation call old movies, which I now think is very funny.
Nice.
But New Hollywood is just like a bunch of Kurosawa fans. Like we're
Yeah.
talking about Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas and people and Spielberg, and they're all like, "Yeah, Kurosawa is the reason why I make movies."
Yeah.
Mm,
Just had
So that'll
more
be fun to
popular
talk
That's a lot.
influence, I guess. So,
that's pretty powerful.
So, yeah.
Mhm. So
Makes
like
sense.
it's very easy to appreciate Kurosawa
Mhm.
from that perspective
back,
because it's just
yeah,
like, well, this is
it's-
what we know as movie.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but it's also just very interesting that even at the time, Kurosawa was the one that was like getting shit done, and like critically,
Mhm.
like as far as world films go, like he won the Palme d'Or or whatever
Mhm.
in like 1950
Jeez.
for Rashomon. So like he already had this critical
Just doing
success
good.
kind of all over the world.
Yeah.
And at this point, Ozu never got a movie over to the U.S. until what 70.
I guess. Yeah. I
And
didn't hear about
this was his
like, his other
biggest
movies,
one.
but yeah.
This was
I
the
would
one that
assume
kind
so.
of broke him through to America, is what I read.
Hmm.
But it also it was very controversial at the time with critics. Like apparently some critics walked out and were like, "This is boring and outdated."
Thing.
So it even at the time it wasn't as easy to
Yeah.
appreciate.
Kind of a hard movie.
Um,
It asks a lot of you as
yeah.
the viewer.
It
think.
Yeah.
really does. Kurosawa movies rarely ask much of you, but
Mhm.
man, does this movie ask things of
That's
you.
such a great way to sum up the experience.
Mhm.
And I don't.
Which makes
I mean,
us
that
sound
was a
like
bad thing at all.
lazy movie watchers, but we're not.
It made me feel bad when I looked at Citizen Kane being as high up on the list as it was, because
Mm.
I was like, man, I feel like in comparison, you don't have to work to understand why Citizen Kane is amazing.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Tokyo
it's not-
Story, like I had to kind of think about it.
Yeah, Citizen Kane's different, where it's like I don't feel like it's offering anything particularly profound, at least not in my viewing, I guess,
Mhm.
and not that I'm remembering. But it's more just that it's like it's just doing a fun, cool movie, and it's just like perhaps the tightest possible version of that.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap! It's just very technically and overall impressive, but it doesn't have much beyond that.
hmm
So it is very valuable, but like Tokyo Story is valuable in some similar ways and some very different ways.
Which is why I'd say Tokyo Story is probably more like Grand Illusion
Yeah.
for me, because it's
Mhm.
like it's the difference between like dramaticism and flashiness and
Mhm.
just kind of wisdom, I
Yeah.
guess.
Right. Like, yeah, Tokyo Story is very much about like it has something very weighty on its mind, but it's going to tell you that in as not flashy a way as possible.
hmm
Like that's definitely something I saw noted, being like he goes out of his way to keep notable events off screen, and like a lot of stuff is very just mundane and quiet.
But man, that bit when Noriko's crying and stuff, that whole scene really got me. I had to rewind it and watch it a second time when I finished the movie.
Noriko.
Nice.
That's good.
I'm gonna name my future dog that.
Oh, that's good.
We're getting a puppy.
Oh yeah.
That's actually a good idea.
Name her
You should go
Noriko.
for that.
Noriko.
No one else would like that.
No, but it'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just call it that secretly. Like, it'll have this really general name, like Fifi. And I'll be like, come here,
Oh
Noriko.
God, don't go with Fifi.
Okay, it was so funny because yesterday my mom was like, you could name it Gigi or Jojo. And I was like, uh-oh,
Jojo.
I won't let that one go.
Jojo.
Well, we were like, Gigi sounds prissy and dumb, so Jojo is better.
Yeah. It would be
But I
so
really
it would
don't
be
know.
so funny.
I like it.
Because I'd just be like calling for the dog. I'm like, Jojo!
Jotaro.
Oh, I'd get so
Where are
excited.
you?
Let's name it Tokyo.
Whoa.
That'd be cute.
Interesting.
I name it
Anyway.
Kyoto. if I was
Actually,
gonna give
I know
one
a
of you
family
guys.
that got a
Good-
puppy
good names.
and they disagreed on the name. Like, two people really liked the name Mulligan or something, and then
Whoa.
the rest of the family didn't like.
I'm gonna mulligan
That
that
feels
one.
I can't
sad.
remember. There was
Why would
something
you
else.
name
I
a
can't
dog
remember.
that?
It had like two names, and now every time I'm like, wait, what's your puppy's name? They give me different answers.
Stuart.
Whoa.
Yeah, we should just name a dog
Billy.
Stuart.
It was just
I
like,
don't know
I
why
think that's
that
what it was.
sucks,
I don't
but
remember.
I love it.
It was so funny. I was like, well,
Ugh.
they're really doing some damage to the dog's brain.
Dog will never understand who it is.
Nope.
That's
Who
rough.
am I?
I can't remember.
Ugh.
I lost my identity.
Again? Freaking again?
Oh wait, sorry. You have things that you.
I have.
We have probably haven't even
I'm
talked about your
roughly
things.
2 paragraphs into what I wrote.
Okay.
I won't.
Let's keep going.
Clearly, we're having enough good conversation on our own that it doesn't really need to be guided by my bullets. But some of this is kind of fun. There were fun quotes, like about the production and making of the
Hell
movie,
yeah.
which I
Give me
didn't
that.
see a ton of information about, but apparently it's very tight. When Ozu was making a movie, it was like he wrote it out and knew exactly what it was going to be, and so that people talking about that. It was Chishu Ryu quoted as saying, by the time he had finished writing a script, after about 4 months' effort, he had made up every image in every shot so that he never changed the scenario after he went on the set, and the words were so polished up that he would not allow us even a single mistake. So people were just like, yep, I am directed to the finest point, and it had good results.
Mhm.
So,
Just
thank-
like exactly
thankfully.
like what John Huston did with the Maltese Falcon.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're right.
which is cool.
You right.
And sometimes that really works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, it's
But-
like if you had someone with poorer direction and perhaps taste, then you could see it going very wrong. But it turned out good in these cases.
But I like not even halfway through the film, probably like within the first 30 minutes, I just sat there and thought, and I was like, oh, wow. I just remembered that these are actors and that this dialogue was written.
Wow.
And I, like, even
Yeah.
when I realized that, I couldn't actually conceive of it because, I don't know, like, the main pair, that old magical couple,
Mhm.
just felt like such actual people, and there was nothing flashy about the dialogue, and there was nothing flashy about what they were doing. Like, they're just sitting there on the tatami mat in the middle of their house, and it was like, oh, this is just... These are real people, though, right? Like,
Sure.
he doesn't, like, change out of this costume
Right.
and, like, put on a westernized suit and, like, go out for lunch at a, westerny diner. Like, this doesn't happen. This is just a person. And that Ozu is somehow able to, even with something that's so, like, planned out and methodical and written exactly, get people to deliver it that way with no flash is really interesting.
Mhm.
Because I find, like, I've done some, like, kind of trying to attempt realism in some film projects that I've done,
Mhm.
and trying to write dialogue that feels real always turns it into, like, this, like, melodramatic, like, stepped up Noah Baumbach thing,
Yeah.
which I'm not going for, but
Yeah,
like, where it's kind of
very hard.
approaching realism, but it's more that it's just striking at a real emotion,
Mhm.
but, like, getting something that actually is just how people are
Mm-hmm.
seems so challenging.
Oh, totally,
And I
yeah.
don't know how you would direct an actor to give that performance off of just plain dialogue with them not editing a word at all. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
How?
true.
I don't
It is-
understand.
I forgot they were actors sometimes because I try to, like, pick up on the acting, and I do this a lot in foreign films. I like forget to like pick it apart. I don't know why, but I think it's just like it's so separated from me. I can't compare myself to what they're doing.
Oh, that's fair.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then especially in this, I was just like, oh yeah, they're acting.
Yeah.
What is that? Wow. Imagine.
One of my friends is in film school, and his professor, she's just like, she sucks. I'm sorry. But she has this podcast, and she did a review of Parasite, and she hated it. She hated it, and her biggest critique was how the Eastern style of acting is so over-dramatic and ridiculous and
What about that?
crappy and all this stuff, and how all the talent got just totally not recognized at all at the Oscars. You know, like Ford v Ferrari should have won Best Picture or something. Like she's just
how I
out there
feel about
being
that.
like, if it's not American. And then she was talking about how it, you know, it's sort of anti-American for this movie to win and all this gross stuff. Anyway, my thought
Gross
is,
Yikes.
I wonder, as her teaching film and film history to all of her students, has she ever seen this movie?
Probably not. Or if she did, she hated it.
Because at the very
Indefensibly.
least it shows there is not in just one singular Eastern style of acting or something. Because imagine trying to compare the acting in Parasite to the acting in Tokyo Story to the acting in, like, I don't know, Seven Samurai, as we'll see next
Sure.
week. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's completely
It's very
different.
different, yeah.
Sorry. But also nothing about this movie is over dramatic.
No.
Like, Ozu calls and referred to this movie as his melodrama.
Yeah, I
and
saw that too.
Oh my
there's
gosh.
there's not
yeah. Like, yeah, this for him was going out. And it's like, whoa.
this is the sappy one, because there's that one scene where Setsuko is like, "Ugh," which is a good scene. But
I mean, in the other Kogonada short, Way of Ozu, I
Mhm.
think, he puts a lot of shots of people crying, like doing that same like crying like motion. So perhaps
So it's
there
like-
are tears sometimes. Maybe not as much, or maybe it's different. I don't know,
Yeah,
because I
I
haven't
don't know.
seen any of them.
that's my thing. I've
Like-
only seen 2 movies of his,
Big
and I am
sad.
so excited to actually watch straight through them.
Do it.
I have it planned. I am gonna watch
Oh,
one
yeah,
of
yeah.
his a month,
You guys got the plan out. That's
and that so it'll take me 72 years because
Heck
there's a bunch
yeah.
of them. But
heck yeah.
yeah. Also, interesting to note, because I don't think we've talked about it yet, and I'm not sure that you have it in your notes. Ozu started out as a silent film director.
Yes.
And he directed like 11 or 12 silent films before this. So this is actually late career for him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Died in
Yeah.
63
No.
Yeah, he died 10 years
on
after
his
this movie.
birthday. That's what I
Yes.
was freaking out about earlier.
This said 1972.
December. That's when the movie hit America.
Oh yeah.
He died on his 60th birthday,
Yeah.
which is the 12th of December, which is also kind of so 12/12 when he turned 60.
12.
A multiple of 12.
Exactly.
6.
Which is wild. Anyway, it's cool.
I'm all 6.
Everything about him just feels
6,
so
6.
perfectly constructed. Can we talk about the way this movie is shot? Do you have things about the way this movie is shot?
I do.
Can you tell me your
a little
things
bit.
about the things
Go
about
off,
the way this is
Queen.
shot?
I had notes about just general like styles and themes and stuff, mentioning slow paced and minimalist, which is kind of his thing. Kind of talked about that. There's the whole deal about the camera being set very low, the tatami shot,
Mhm.
as it was called apparently. Just doesn't move the camera. Apparently, only moves it like once in this movie.
Yes.
Some movies where he has
Ah.
some movies where he moves it 0 times.
Jeez.
Very still, stationary, often just looking at still things.
And that
And-
one moving shot
yeah.
is like very, it like really stands out.
I don't even remember.
You
it.
don't. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I
I'm
sucked
over-
at watching this
no,
movie. I'm
it's
sorry.
fine. I'm just so
When
glad
This
we
is
have
real
if you
life,
tell me when it
everybody.
is, maybe I'll
Yeah.
remember it.
So when
That's fair. There were a lot of character
There
names
are a
to
lot
keep
of
track of in
names.
this movie, and
Mhm.
a lot.
Who was who?
Carry on.
but when he and his wife are sitting down, she's feeling a little faint, and they walk away. The camera and it's just this moment of like all of a sudden the camera. I don't know. I was taken aback. It was very
Nice.
surprising. Depth. Like, do you have anything
Mm.
about the way?
Yeah.
And you see somebody like kind of walking by like several different like doorways. There's like just this massive amount. Like, you have
Onions have
this room,
layers.
and you can see the room that the camera's in, and then you can see that they're because I'm a massive fan of Kogonada, who obviously seems to be the biggest Ozu fan ever, uses that kind of shot even more like massive depth. Like he will film from basically something in the kitchen and like he's filming over here from the bathroom and space in these shots.
Makes sense.
Is
Yeah, this is true.
at least so far in the movies we've covered.
His lack of master shots,
Mm.
apparently. So just like it's more just like, all right, we're gonna show a few people over here, one person there, each character
Yeah.
as it goes.
And not any like direct close-ups either.
Right. In a whole room.
There are no
Usually.
Anderson shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That he breaks the like 180 degree the same way when it's cutting back and forth between them.
Mm.
I know. I've yelled about a dude on two, but like I've seen this guy. He's always looking in the same direction. But looking back,
I didn't either,
I think I kind of remember that looking back right now. On a side and then re-entering the frame from the same side. That's how that.
He
works.
does, yeah. Like, I don't know. The only other movie has a lot of things like that, if I remember correctly. Like these very established shots that he has, and people walking through these. It kind of like
Yeah.
that. I don't know. It's interesting.
it's unusual.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Does things very like, out like that. I guess probably keeps your attention.
No. Totally.
Good morning.
It's cool.
Good morning.
Oh man, I
We
just
talked
ripped
the
the
whole
whole
night through.
quote.
We did.
He emphasizes plot to Zen Buddhism and the modern world's fascination with surface value.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't see that. Talked about that. A whole theme of like, very sort of a very heavy theme in the movie,
Yeah.
and like also
True.
both kind of.
Yeah.
it's very sobering.
The way that like the dad talks about that sometimes your kids are disappointing and like
Yeah.
angry and like stuff as you
It's
would
like-
expect, this acceptance of it.
Yeah, it's just there's different how it is. This is how it's going to be. I don't know.
Try to change that. It's just
Yeah.
they like kind of put the feel everything and then they're like, okay, so you don't going somewhere else, don't feel like you need to come visit if something makes it feel less
It-
she's dying because they don't
True.
actually care. It's an obligation.
Yeah,
that they
it
were
was-
Sorry. I was just going to be like, you would think that they would sit in that more as like, that's of it, I guess.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Reminds me of the thing that you were saying earlier when we were when recording. Sorry, I'm going to call you out there, but you were just like
Thanks.
you were. But, oh no, I'm not anxious. Whatever. It makes it harder.
Yeah.
Than it's easier.
It's like the most inhumane response. I don't know.
So like,
Right.
it's this is the way that
This
it is.
is it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
it.
and part of it, get the child family. They have their own job, like, and it's all the stuff that consumes time and attention and distractor. That's like, oh, now I have to like take my time away from everything else. It's just kind of going to be that way. They have Konchi and Shige made a lot of effort, but at least Noriko was like, "Can I have the day off?" And got it.
I know.
Distraction, bummer. I guess
It
Yeah.
felt so.
It was rough.
It hurt. Like it kind of matches some of my own experience.
Yeah,
Like,
like when I had that, thought, like understandable, and I was like, yeah, a parent that's maybe had something that was kind of distracting, like my own relationship with grandparents, which is not maybe it's because I was distracted a lot when I was around.
the way that I am with my own parents, I
Yeah.
guess, as well. Because
Mhm.
like long ass time now. Right. I gotta do something with the
Yeah.
fam.
Once that,
Like I've got my own things going
Yeah.
on and whatever, and I've kind of experienced maybe reading in a bit too much to my family. My parents are a bother or
Yeah,
whatever,
it's
but I want to
awkward.
interact, and there's
Mhm.
this like things are going in this one direction, not wanting that to happen, and so
Mhm.
there's also this kind of like it would be to have this kind of perspective of like this is the way that I guess I'll just leave you alone because you're thing, but just in this like, well, things are different now to sort out what the new dynamic is. That acceptance
with it.
does make it easier.
yeah, and I think even just like watching
Mhm.
maybe enables you to be like, okay, there is a natural difficult try maybe to counteract
Mhm.
that if I can. Just
Well, it is very
Maybe.
interesting in that sense because like the Western approach to this movie would be a dysfunctional family. The movie was remade now. This dysfunctional family and about, oh man, isn't this family broken? Because also we have an
Mhm.
extent in a lot of our films and things that are this. I don't feel like this movie could be categorized as a dysfunctional. It's making the argument like, yeah, this is sad and this is hard.
Yeah.
And that makes it easier to be able to, this is green. Well, I guess we have problems. It's just sort of like, yeah, problems exist.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is a good, because there's a lot to talk about whether or not you enjoy the film.
Yeah.
I guess.
More insightful takes into the movie. Like, I agree, that makes sense. I didn't totally, it didn't hit me at the time. That's some good stuff right there.
Yeah, does kind of make shallowness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. It is it's kind of a cold, and again, like I saw just mention of, like, not a lot's going on, and it is kind of boring in and now the emotion is out very clearly. The tears are out.
Correct.
Like, I think if you were to cut the plot function as the plot functions, you would just make it such a crappy movie.
Yeah.
Because it
loses something
wouldn't have any of the, like, added layers of, like, and things changing, and that actually felt like with Noriko.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't have had a ship with Noriko or, like, have any of this value if it had just been, like, super welcoming and, like, they did stuff all the time, and whatever relationship with Noriko wouldn't have really developed at all. And she does bring a lot of emotion to the movie. But it's not as strong as what we will experience. It's impossible to watch a Kurosawa film and not be beaten over the head with
rhymes.
Very
There's
excited.
as is some Roger Ebert quote.
hell yeah. He saved word.
He said that the movie lacks sentimental triggers have exploited. It doesn't want to force our emotions, but to share its
But I don't like feeling pretentious and saying it, but it's easier for the movie to just be like, all right, now everybody, it really makes me think, like, I should have spent time with them while they were here.
Yeah.
And
But you
well, yeah.
Here it is.
Because it was
Yeah,
like,
true.
it actually means totally, like, I've seen movies like that just kind of go. Like, in the moment, I'm like, oh, this is so good. And then it's just gone, and it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. But a movie that's like to, like, push the emotional, like, impact it could have on me to just pull up whenever. But it does give me something that I podcast and talk about it. Man, we have so much more to talk about than we have a lot of appreciation for that kind of, I don't know if it's not taking the easy route.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From a fellow, a time about self is his most important weapon. Protracted sequences make you hastened away. And that's it.
And functions like a normal movie is when they're in the tour bus. To an extent.
No.
There's a good quote.
I never get to go to this.
This. When they were like, all right, come on, let's go to the... Did you just get all the, like, oh, yes, I am a parent, and then I came to visit, and now they are treating me like the Chation, and because I am still their parent and still care about them, I'm here to see you. I'm just going to go along with it because it's easier for them.
I mean, that's super fleshed
I was gonna
out,
say,
but yeah.
not in that much depth, perhaps.
I was like,
Just being shuffled away
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't have to. Yeah, I don't
But
know.
it's and act like
This is
everything's
true.
all good.
Yeah.
Adds another layer.
Oh.
That's fine.
See, maybe this will be like a Francis Ha experience. There's a movie.
And then I was like, but how about this? So
Maybe I'll watch this again one day, and an extra context that I have now. But hopefully, I can enjoy it perspective and actually have a good time with it.
nice. Last night.
I thought about it, but I didn't. It wasn't a
You're
lot,
done good,
but,
son.
we did.
Now I've got one last thing I would like.
Okay.
Before we would like you to give us your feelings on this.
Did that letterbox rating go up? Hey,
It was. I realized when we started recording that I didn't put it up, and it's just a whole ass of all us listeners. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Merp. For life.
yeah, at the end I just said I feel dumb posting this.
I think, yeah, it's not that it's old. It's not that it's like foreign. Maybe it is a mood thing. Like you said, like you guys, that makes you work a little bit harder to kind of appreciate its depth. Watching it, yeah, it was just like, emotions, brains and emotions, and like diving into the deep conversations, and it felt stagnant.
Like maybe we just
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what we were getting into. Kind of exactly what I would expect, more or less. Like they don't. And then this one is probably the most stylistically distinct thing that we watched.
Right.
Right.
He had really cool purpose and intention behind what he.
like I put it at a 3, and I'm gonna leave it there for now. But I have it on my podcast list
Hmm.
because I'm like, I can still look back and be like, yeah, this that we've had now around it, and I fully expect that a rewatch.
So happy at how massive the disparity in our ratings. Saying in, I guess, confidence, but which is now not in confidence. I was like, man, it's good. Wow, that we all like it.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And I'm like, I thoughts, you know,
This movie sucks.
and I love that.
Oh.
And it's like in my list of favorites. In a weird way, it's because it's I was happy. He was like wrapped up in a blanket on the couch and just being like,
And different things speak to different people. So it's like some people need this.
To your personal experience, I feel like that is a much more direct corollary. And
Yeah.
evoking there too.
well, yeah, because like that scene where things, man, I need to remember freaking names. Maybe we should send them to like Atami, and it's really hard not to see this as like something that's about the adults. Is like a mood that I feel.
See my parents talking that way about my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
See reflected
Frick.
back because it's not something that I think about very often.
Grandma.
Oh yeah,
Good times.
email didn't respond.
Yeah, my grandma texted me on Christmas, and I didn't a whole week later.
Oh God.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and we had a conversation. I feel bad. Anyway,
Yeah.
It was rough.
it's all of that. It's all of this is the lifeblood of this movie, but it's also not something that's like at the forefront of my mind all from the fact that like there's some family obligation and thing all the time. And so it's interesting to see that somebody was like this. It's cool. It's interesting. I me the feelings that the last unicorn does. What?
I am the last one. Hey,
I'm just trying to be mean.
there's a couple movies not on this list.
You know,
They do
I,
fuck.
I was looking through the list.
Is La La Land on there?
No, sucks.
Oh yeah. I forgot.
Whoa!
I think
Fight
it's being
me.
as internally controversial as this movie.
Mm.
And lower pace things. Obviously, I haven't seen a lot of these, so I can't totally read. But I also bracketed by Come and See and Grave of the Fireflies.
That's good.
Movie just surrounded by these harrowing
just
war
death.
films.
Yeah.
You think La La Land sucks?
No, I just said sucks. I do not actually think suck. I was
That's
just
good.
being stupid.
Except I kid.
Okay, but here's the fun bit: is that I can totally promise 2 films that you guys will like, probably. Like,
Perhaps.
I'm expecting Get and you being like, but good.
I don't know. I haven't seen it still.
See, I think, yeah, you and I will team up. I can see it happening.
God.
I can also see being like music.
I love the
Maybe.
sound of
Because
music.
big fan. Sound of Music. We all have controversial
And then-
It's
opinions.
Julie
Eh,
freaking Andrews.
I know, I'm gonna-
Guys, and I'm gonna be like, this sucks.
And then I'm literally going to still, but just of you screaming.
I don't want to
And then
watch.
we're
Brand-
gonna
It's
watch.
actually, it's not boring. There's definitely stuff happening.
Surely we hit.
So Peter O'Toole is in
Potentially.
this, and it looks. I
no,
like.
you know, however long this podcast is worth of nuance.
That's fair. Is that we could talk about all the things, and then with all of the context, it's a
Boring.
good vibe. Feel that way. And if we don't,
Because it does.
there's a problem.
2 of us. have seen.
Great thing.
I'm really excited about Paper
I'm
Moon.
excited for that.
Suspiria is going to be another one I'm probably going to be like, oh no.
Like,
I
You're
just
gonna-
can't-
I don't know what to expect from Suspiria because I've only seen the remake. Different.
It probably
So,
is.
Yeah.
I've never seen any kind of.
I don't know.
Is it Gialli when it's plural and Giallo?
I think it's Giallo.
I think
But I
I've heard
don't
people say like,
remember.
I really like Gialli.
Right. That's
It's going to be good.
anyway.
There's going to be movies that multiple times.
I've seen it like 1.5 times, maybe. If I'm being wrong.
Oh.
Because I don't. I definitely watched like half of it.
Gotcha.
So I think that was probably when I logged it again as like a partial watch. Hell yeah, I still haven't seen that.
It's so scary.
But see, that would be a good redemption also for me on The Godfather because when I watched The Godfather, I was like,
Story is to an extent how I felt about The Godfather. And everybody's like, you're wrong.
and Ladybird.
Wait, you got her?
damn.
Ladybird? I don't think you got Ladybird.
It says I did because Hunter got Paddington too.
I don't know.
Wait, really? Is
It's
that how that
okay.
happened?
It's whatever. Those are both movies that
You
make
can-
me cry.
You can take Lady Bird if I can have Grand Budapest.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
it,
It's okay.
But is that the trade that you went for, Hunter, was because goes in order? It's, you know, it's just us going allowed to make for a movie that we specifically want to do with somebody adjacent for Inception, which
Oh,
means
yeah.
I don't have a long rant about how Christopher Nolan isn't that great. But now we watched.
You're right.
Yeah, and I get to do Dogtooth.
Just more
which-
personally relevant for both of
Mhm.
us. So
I'm just not a Nolan.
young, I can film lad thinking that Inception was the greatest thing, and now seeing it above a lot of other movies, but like also kind of not like it.
I was like, let's go see it.
I'm
'cause
glad
I'd
we
never
saw
seen
it.
it.
It was
and we
cool.
saw it, and it.
It's a movie.
Anyway, cool. I'm glad we've had this
Woo.
conversation. 2.5 star disparity in our ratings. In your opinion?
Probably one of. I would put it above Gone with the
Yeah,
Wind.
like that's the thing. It's love stuff. Even though my personal enjoyment, it was still.
Quite
At first,
low.
I'd still say it was higher than making me bummed out that I was watching it.
Yeah, well, it's not like it's like it's in the middle. It's just like me.
That's fair.
Gone with the Wind. I just like.
Upsetting. So at the moment, Tokyo Story is number 1 for me.
Oh yeah.
Citizen Kane. Is the. I've probably gotten much more out of.
Like at least like Grand Illusion also had a lot on it. They're not in or around wartime. My personal experiences.
Mhm.
Whereas like Tokyo Story is like
Universal, despite not being universally enjoyable.
this
I don't
feels
know. It's
long.
probably our longest episode.
Like an
I hope
hour
it
and a
is.
half.
It feels long. Yeah.
Open for.
What's it at?
It's an hour and 37. But you'll probably cut
nonsense at the beginning.
right.
Fun.
We had some good rambles, guys. You can go check it out.
And we post sneak peeks.
of that because we
Yes.
found a good way to do that.
Movieoverload.com has have the link.
.com does have the links.
Did I say movieoverload.com?
Yeah.
Shinks.
Yeah, it does.
And I love you so much.
Wow.
Yeah. Marry
Marry
me.
me.
I do. And it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be very friendly.
If you showed up at my front door
All right, you do.
or your non-patronage, I appreciate your listenage at the very least. We do. Sometimes when episodes end, we say a thing and usually delay it for quite a while because he never, but he
It's
didn't
true.
this time. And so as we say at the end of this,
Yeah, Hunter doesn't do.
I'm not
easy.
on the IMDb quotes page for this.
when I keep treading water, just hoping that he will want to say,
See, it doesn't
Oh,
translate
yeah.
well into like a one-liner.
yeah, man, that was
Okay,
shocking.
hold on. Mama, you've grown taller.
Hey.
She was so big when I was little that I used to feel ashamed. Yeah, she still thinks that. That's sad. Don't say that. I'm just gonna say that about my own mother.
Every line sucks.
That
That's
that
true.
one's true. Sorry, I overrode what you were saying.
And every scene now that I think about it, and I think
Yeah.
it'll cool. Thanks.
Fuck off, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Like it was one of those movies that I kind of squeal at. Like I'm like, "Ooh." I love this song.
I started recording. That's fine.
I thought the sun was gonna like come back.
We are recording that right now.
Like twist.
Oh, well.
The dead one.
He is not confirmed as dead. So yes.
Who is not confirmed as dead?
The son who was like missing.
I don't remember his name.
Oh,
I was like watching like walking at the end of the movie.
That would be
You
hilarious.
should remarry. You're just gonna like walk.
Like
back in.
he'll walk in after she dies, and they're just gonna be like, "You suck! I can't believe you weren't here before she died."
man, imagine if Ozu was like a really boring director like that. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would suck so bad. I thought that I was going to plug them in, and then I forgot to.
How do I plug them in?
You put the thing in
In the middle? I'm independent. Sometimes. I'm just lazy.
You know what, though? You could crisscross these ones and it wouldn't matter.
Hey guys, did you see that new movie with?
You know-
So editing that
Movie.
episode, that bit is the best.
Really?
It's so like I was laughing, like I was just letting that play while I just am moseying around, waiting for something to come up for me to clip out, which mostly doesn't happen. But like that bit comes up, and I'm just like,
Because we were laughing
Oh
so
my
hard.
God.
It's like contagious.
it's really good.
I want to listen to it.
Well, it's on Anchor, so if you're logged in on our side on Anchor, you can listen to it.
I have two TikTok fans that were like subscribed. And like
course.
one was like, I subscribed on Apple Podcasts or something.
Good.
And I was all, fuck yeah.
Perfection.
So I need to make like an actual TikTok for the podcast because kind of like tied it into another one.
Oh,
And people
okay.
were like, what podcast? And I was like, Movie Overload. And then they were like, oh, subscribed. I was like,
It is.
word.
Gotcha.
So
Well, it did make
Cool.
somewhat of an impact, like very small. Like I noticed the numbers went up by like 3.
oh, good.
Interesting.
So
I think it
slowly but surely.
net us 3 listeners.
Well, and if anyone
Which
ever
is
checks
pretty-
out my
pretty
website,
good.
which they do, like I can check the stats on my website. I have it on my front page,
Gotcha.
like linked. So
Mhm.
plugs.
Man, it'd be really good for your simps to be able to know about the page.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I
My
finally-
$160 of
Yeah.
Venmos.
I finally started putting the Patreon link in the episode descriptions.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I
You
think we
probably
should
have
update the
no-
Patreon page because it's got the outdated graphics.
Oh heck, I forgot about that.
Don't we have no content?
Well, at the moment we have no content.
Yes.
We could record our first ASMR episode today.
I
That is true.
I have the ASMR episode on that no.
Maybe there's a tier
Somewhere.
of feet pics. We could have a
Yike.
feet pic tier.
feet pics.
Hey
Only
guys,
Hunter's feet.
subscribe to
We
the
don't-
podcast.
we
Check
just
out
say-
our OnlyFans.
We have a tier that just says feet pics, but it's only your feet.
Nice. Someone's like, "Whose feet?" And I'm just like, "Feet.
Feet, toes.
They are feet."
Every
Would you
time-
know the difference?
Whose feet?
Just feet.
Good ones.
Little
Good ones.
Little funny joke. Feet.
Every time someone comments and says the word feet, you have to respond with toes. And every time someone says toes, you have to say feet. And
What?
nothing else.
That's good, actually. I think that'll work.
Toes.
Monkey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ew.
That's gonna be the first thing people hear. I'm gonna edit that so that that's the first thing people hear, and then it's me saying toes.
Is
And
this your
then-
edit? It might
and
be.
then-
It's not.
I
but
don't know.
I was
And
actually
then,
thinking
Oh
of
my
asking if you
God.
want to edit. I don't know if you want to edit them all, but I'm getting
Oh.
nervous that once school starts, I'm not going to have time.
Yeah, I mean it's easy. So I was thinking about just doing it anyway, since I just have the card, and then we wouldn't have to mess with data transfer.
That's fair.
But anyway, I'm gonna have that at the beginning, and then the intro music's gonna play, and then the podcast will start as normal.
Are we
Can you edit me in saying "ew"
Yes.
like that? Like, all right, here, wait, I'm gonna do a new one.
Yes.
Was that good?
Are you recording right now? Are you?
No.
Am I?
Maybe. Not-
It's up
not
to
really-
you,
not
actually.
really sure.
Do you identify as recording?
I do now.
Yes.
Well, that's so good.
There's a red light in my eyes. Recording.
Yeah, you do give me those vibes of like, you could be like, when you do that face, you could be like Mark Zuckerberg's like protege. Fuck. You can
Ooh.
just do that face all the time.
I'm gonna steal your privacy.
I know it's like a
data's
joke
mine.
that
good.
that dude is creepy looking, but every time I see him, I'm like, he is a lizard man.
He
Like, holy crap!